Could this ancient timing method revolutionize your meditation? Please chant with me. In these days of technological terrors, we can easily time our meditation using the stopwatch app on our smartphones. Oops, I forgot to start mine. Using the stopwatch app on our smartphones. In days of yore, however, one might time one's meditation session by burning 1, 2, or 3 sticks of incense one after the other. This method of crease counting, however, was inspired by the techniques practiced by many Bengalis. Those of us living in countries enduring a rise in fascism know that, although cranky officers in polyester could confiscate, both smartphones and rosaries alike will most always have our hands. And by extension, this means of practicing crease counting. Those who have endured disabilities numerous and lifelong are often drawn to the energy work of Taoism as well as Tantric Buddhism. Although they could influence their body's channels when Zen drops, or Nadi Prana Bindu in Sanskrit through visualization and invocation. The easiest and most therapeutic method is to use the finger gestures or mudra that are part and parcel of this practice of Bengali crease counting. Beginning with the first pillar over the span of 12 inhalations. We could touch the tip of our right thumb to the lowest, middling, and uppermost sets of creases upon its little finger. And then count likewise upon its ring, middle, and then index fingers. Continuing with the second pillar, we could count sets of 12 inhalations, each with our left thumb. To count 4 sets, we could touch the tip of our left thumb to the lowest set of creases upon the little ring, middle, and index fingers of our left hand. Yes, to count 8 sets, we could touch both the lowest and middling sets of creases upon the 4 fingers of our left hand. And even count 12 sets by touching the lowest, middling, and uppermost sets of the creases upon the 4 fingers of our left hand. But typically we'll only count the 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. Finishing with the third pillar, we could gather 4 collections of 4, 8, or 12 sets of 12 inhalations each, in a manner that gently, therapeutically, and sustainably influences our channels when Zen drops. So this seems like, well, let's just move forward. So here we go. We could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger Upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up and all up. We're going to do that right now. So let's see. Quick like a bunny. Oh, I'm on that right now. Derp. Okay, let's try that again. Sorry, kids. A little confused here. Let's try to hit button. There we go. So this is where we're going to shift gears and prepare for this evening's first practice of meditation. After we do the official shifting of the gears. It is Luke Skywalker Friday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For the last 30 years, I have indulged my autistic special interest and my ADHD hyperfixations to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friend, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us set intention by wishing for universal enlightenment. Please chant with me. Whatever comes, may all beings let it come. Whatever stays, may all beings let it stay. Whatever goes, may all beings let it go. Welcome to this evening's first of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Good evening, Shivi. Aha. Excuse me, let us practice the essence of mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the verb noticing during each inhalation. And then let us practice the essence of meditation by silently and mentally reciting the silently and mentally reciting the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Let us recite a selection from Sang Khan, Sang Khan's verses on the Dharma mind. And if you are a Han person, I apologize if my pronunciation was incorrect. So, before we move forward, there appears to be a very good question. So I'm going to tap button 8. So Shive wrote, if our mind exists in the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, amygdala, etc., does this ultimately mean free will doesn't exist if we all have the same evolved system programming? So that is a wonderful, wonderful question. And I'm not sure if I can do this right now. There is a wonderful video on the subject I would like to bring to your attention. Please bear with me. So what I'm going to do is quick like a bunny. I'm going to tap Chrome, try to open it up over here, go to YouTube, and go to watch later. And scroll down. There it is. So what I'm going to do now is go back to window capture. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but the first video on the top of the screen reads, let's see, if I put this here, can you see the cursor? So this thing that I've just highlighted, The Free Will Illusion by Kyle Hill. This is a wonderful essay on the subject of free will through the lens of science. Please watch it as soon as you're done with tonight's live stream. You'll be glad you did. So, The Free Will Illusion by Kyle Hill. Please watch that. Excuse me. So what I think I'll do now is return and try to find this. Okay. So there are people, and for this I've got to go back to and tap button 5. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everyone sucks. And this suckiness could look like Yang's religious patriarchy. Folks being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. People being cruel to each other and insensitive to each other and proclaiming absurdities like, you should have chosen better parents, or you should have chosen a better body to be born into, or pick yourself up by your bootstraps, which is an impossibility for those of us who have more than 2 working brain cells. Those of us who are fortunate enough to receive training to be a member of Yin's spiritual matriarchy, to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Recognize that we are going along for the ride. And the difference between a hero and a villain is blind, stinking luck. You're coming to these live streams not because you're the wisest person on your block. You're just lucky. I've been able to see certain things on the spiritual path that others haven't seen because I'm lucky. And luck is just a fancy way of saying random, favorable chance. We have the good fortune to have a brain that is really, really flexible. And it's smart, and it's creative, and it's empathetic, and it's perceptive, and it's flexible. And we can work with these tools in a way that can help us to be our best self. And fMRI studies, functional magnetic resonance imaging studies, have shown that when a series of domino-like chain of interconnected events in our central nervous system appear to impel us towards what looks like a choice, we recognize it as a choice long after the decision has been made. And so the idea of a chooser is an illusion. We evolved in such a way that we don't like mysteries. We, as a species, have a gift for fiction. And if we don't know the answer to something, well, then, God damn it, we will make something up. It doesn't matter if what we make up is correct, incorrect, helpful, or harmful. We will die on the hill of our own fictions given half a chance. And so Mr. Kyle Hill does a wonderful job of looking at the science of fate. And I think it's really interesting that both particle physicists and neuroscientists, I should say a majority of particle physicists and a majority of neuroscientists, do not believe in free will. And so that makes the whole idea of karma, spooky karma, an absurdity, an utter absurdity. Consider, if you will, immunology. In the late 1800s, I think it was the late 1800s, there was an outbreak of a virulent disease. I forgot what was it. Oh, what was that name? What was it called? Typhoid. And they tracked it down. The patient number, the person who was carrying typhoid was the person they nicknamed Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary was not an evil person, but she was a dangerous person. And so they isolated her from society. Now, once again, not as a punishment, but to protect society. Similarly, each of us has different weaknesses and different strengths. It's been my experience that we have the good fortune to to authentically practice mindfulness and meditation. Then we are able to harmonize our choices and utterances and deeds in the most wonderful way. We're able to flow in the most wonderful way. And history has shown us and philosophy has warned us that when we fight the flow state, life gets very bad for us and for those who we affect. I'm very grateful that I've stumbled upon these teachings, that I've received these teachings, and I'm very excited that you have been receiving these teachings. Therefore, you have an opportunity. You've already received this golden opportunity. And I sincerely hope that all the pins and tumblers fall into place into your life, allowing you to practice and master this so that your trajectory could be as wonderful as possible. In the wonderful sci-fi series Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there was a good luck generator that influenced tachyons, real or imagined particles named tachyons. And they would create good fortune, good fortune, good fortune, and then cataclysmic bad fortune. Um, and those who were trying their best to take advantage of that suffered the most. And those who were not trying to control it, those who were going with the flow, suffered the least. We as we go through life, there is the illusion of choice, but that's all it is. And so one could very well ask, then what is the meaning of life? Peace and love and going with the flow. Every adult knows that death is an inevitability. Every person who goes to see a movie knows that no matter how much you enjoy the movie, it will end. Every person who falls in love knows that relationship will not last forever. That relationship will end either in a breakup or a death of one or both members of the relationship. In the face of these dark inevitabilities, as we stand before the gaping chasm of meaninglessness, how do we find the strength to move on? The neurotic answer is hope. The peaceful answer is love and flow. It is empathy and kindness and wisdom's peaceful, non-neurotic flow state that helps us to find a semblance of meaning in this life of ours. In fact, if you spoke to an endocrinologist, that if you spoke to a anthropologist, they would tell you that the oxytocin oriented reward system in the basement of our brain gives us a sense of fulfillment from meaningful cooperation. Now, in the folly of my youth, I tried to be helpful and I tried to force it, and it always turned to shit. Luckily, I had the good fortune to receive teachings that showed me that instead of trying to force opportunities to be kind, I could flow. And the more I meditated, the more I practiced, the more I would be able to flow. And the more I flow out, the more opportunities I would have to be kind. And that's where we find meaning. Strangers on an airplane hurtling towards the earth, involved in a crash, will often hold each other's hands or embrace. We are wired to find meaning in empathy. You've heard this before. Do bear with me. This thing we call a self, this thing we call a mind, this storm of electrical activity in a 3-pound hunk of meat, fatty meat, in a skull that's never seen the light of day directly, is hurtling on a rock that's hurtling around a star, that is hurtling around a galaxy, that is hurtling around a galactic cluster, that is hurtling around at least one universe. It is a mad chase. The most subversive thing we can do is, despite this chaotic 3-ring circus that we find ourselves in, is cooperate with the processes that result in peace and love. I hope that helps. And I'm glad you reminded me. I intend to add Kyle Hill's video to future videos. I can't add it to previous videos. Last time I tried updating the description information for previous videos, that turned into a 5-hour chore. I don't want to do that for quite a while, but I will add it to future. I intend to add it to future videos. Having said all that, let's move forward. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Let me check the time. Ooh, the time's really getting away from me. So I'm going to tap button 14. And I thank you, Shivi, for your wonderful question. Okay, here we go. So rather than chant with me, just recite with me as relaxingly as we can. We could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Welcome to the second of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Let us practice mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the verb noticing during each inhalation. Let us practice meditation by silently and mentally reciting the verb relaxing during each exhalation. We could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the heart region of our chest. Why, thank you, Victor. That's a delight. I am so happy to be part of your life. Let us practice mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the verb noticing during our inhalation, and let us practice meditation by silently and mentally reciting the verb relaxing during our exhalation. During every inhalation, we are already wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. We could rest all four of our great knuckles of our right hand upon the tips of all four of our left fingers. Palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the region of our throat that seems to tighten just before we cry. Let us practice mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the verb noticing during each inhalation. Let us practice meditation by silently and mentally reciting the verb relaxing during each exhalation. We could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown region of our head. Although these actions might not bestow upon us the miraculous actions of a Tolkien fever dream, they could assist our body's practice. They could assist our body's practice of the Buddha's mindfulness and meditation. Welcome to the 5th of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. That means we've reached the final portion of this evening's practice, so let's make the most of it. We could practice mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the verb noticing during each inhalation. And we could practice meditation by silently and mentally reciting the verb relaxing during each exhalation. We can be vulnerable before what we notice, whether that which we notice is a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. Whether that which we notice is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 13 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.